Well, here we are, the second last week of the year, but the last BackChat basketball show of the year. Last week was the penultimate show, which is a fun word to say, which means second last. It's just before Christmas, but we thought we'd sneak one more episode in because Christmas doesn't stop. hello@backchatpodcast.com.au is the email to get in touch with us, or backchat_basketball on Instagram is also a good place to message. Ben's not here. Yes. But you are, Greg. I'm just doing I'm just here juggling you two.
The season of giving. I appreciate it. When you said the second last show, I was like, oh, geez, we're really doing one next week.
That would be the 28th, a couple of days after Boxing Day.
No chance. As much as, well done, you haven't missed an episode all year, which is crucial. You're the vital cog to this piece.
Yes.
Without you, there is no show. We wouldn't be able to run any of this. So thank you for staying on board.
Oh, that's fine. Anytime.
Ben, as mentioned, this is he's maybe now DMP's coach's decision.
Resting on a second night of the back-to-back.
If you would like to put him on a warning.
Okay, a written warning, sure. Let's I'll think about that over the Christmas break, and if I'm feeling generous, I'll let him come back, and same with you too. Let's get straight into some NBA stuff. The biggest thing coming out of the NBA recently is the Phoenix Suns have been bought. By yourself. Yeah, $4 billion. Matt Ishbia.
What's his background?
Mortgage broking, I believe. Some sort of mortgage lending or something. So he's in finance.
Yeah.
A lot of money, $4 billion. Apparently he's been trying to buy a professional sports team for a while.
Okay.
And he's finally done it. The Phoenix Suns have been bought. So I was thinking about, when you have this like endless money, right?
Yeah,
and you think, oh, I'll just never work again.
Yeah.
I think I would buy a sports team.
Oh, I absolutely do. Like even when the Elon Musk bought Twitter, I thought, I was thinking in my car, what a silly purchase. Like 42.
That was $40 billion.
Yeah, $42 billion. Like,
could have bought 10 franchises for that.
Yeah, and you could have sold a lot of the world's issues, no doubt. A sports franchise I think is a lot of fun and to even just see, like, it'd be the perfect time to be like, I'm going to fire, bring in this person, hot dog prices, popcorn,
you would go down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah,
like
am I putting cheese on nachos? Like,
what nachos are you eating without cheese?
Not in America. Like, they put this melted cheese.
The cheese sauce.
Yeah.
Not melted cheddar.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, cheese sauce. But like, I play Football Manager. I know this is a basketball show, but I enjoy doing that, like changing ticketing pricing, changing the dimensions of the soccer pitch.
So you'd be a real hands-on owner.
Yeah. I'd be Steve Ballmer.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I'd be that, like a mix of that and Mark Cuban. I'd be going to every game and what a bad job. Like, I have to fly with the basketball team around the country and go to every game. So
how do you reckon you'd go? Like
as an owner?
Yeah.
Look, I would just hire all the best people and be there for the ride and not try and do much.
But would you...
Like Mark Cuban, right? He's a bad example because he likes to try and get involved in trade talks and and he's not good at it. Honestly, he's not. He's just got a lot of money and he's a good owner for all the other stuff. So I wouldn't be getting involved in that because
So you wouldn't be such hands-on?
No, not.
It'd be like a
fully.
Jack Bender.
I say that now, but I guarantee I'd be in the draft war room and stuff.
Dirk Nowitzki is back.
Yeah, I'd be hiring him as my guy and stuff.
NBA consultant.
Yeah. All right. So the Phoenix Suns have been bought.
Yep.
Then there's also talk now. There's a bit of a bidding war of who is going to get the expansion team, Seattle or Vegas.
Okay.
So apparently there's
and Mexico City was
Mexico City has also been thrown in there, which is interesting.
That's not happening. That's just
I think it will. I mean, all those years ago when Canada got a team, people would have been thinking the same thing, and now it's like, yeah, of course Toronto have a team.
Yeah, but like I understand that's a huge market, but Canada is like a pretty significantly large continent with a huge population. Like Mexico City,
I don't even think Canada's a continent. I think it's just a country in North America.
Okay, there you go. Let's scratch that. But I don't think Mexico City is a melting pot of this is where NBA talent. I know Canada isn't, but you look at it from a FIBA standpoint, I don't know.
Okay, no, that's fine. I mean, I'm sure they've done. So
what franchise
numbers.
Are you going Seattle or Vegas?
Seattle.
Because of the tradition and the history?
Yeah, I think it'd have a more consistent fan base. Like Vegas has people that live there, of course. Like people do live there, but it'd be such a I don't know, come and go sort of fan base.
Yeah,
I want Seattle they're hungry.
Yeah.
So if I'm buying a team,
Is Phoenix the new owner like a Phoenix Knight or whatever they call him?
A what?
Like a Phoenix Knight? Like he's Phoenix pure and
Oh no,
true?
I don't think so. He's just been trying to buy any team,
Okay,
so I think
he's not like a loyal.
He could be
guy.
Someone could. Yeah,
could he move Phoenix to Seattle?
Maybe, but that'd be dumb. No, that's not happening. I think if any team's going to get moved, it's probably Oklahoma or like something like that.
I reckon even OKC.
Well, who knows? I guess we'll find out in the next 5 to 10 years when that probably eventuates. NBA has been actually a little bit so-so in terms of new stuff that's been coming on
right now. New York Knicks, longest winning streak in the league.
I don't want to talk about the Knicks because I got Jalen Brunson off the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, but that's why
he's their best player.
I was looking, Golden State still sucking on the road. Like they're a playing team, right? They're only 2 wins above the Lakers.
Yep.
So as much as the Lakers have copped it, like Golden State, like at some point there has to be some alarm bells.
Of course.
New Orleans, after doing tremendously well, are now like Poo Town.
Yep.
And like lost like 4. But I love that finally, like the Knicks, like it's like when Richmond and Melbourne, you need like a good footy team, like a good Melbourne team to be it. Like the Knicks being good, even if it's good for a year or two, it
makes the league interesting.
Value. Yeah. Yep. So I'm like, if there's boring storylines, but that's
okay. Good. What about like it is Christmas coming up? Yes. Do you have some sort of like Christmas basketball wish? Because I've got one straight off the bat, so it will give you time to think. I just want the Dallas Mavericks to have another playmaker that can help Luka because they're wasting him away, and I don't want to look back in 10 years of having like a James Harden era team where like one guy just dominates and the rest of the team.
Hardaway Jr. out.
Yeah, like someone to help. Jalen Brunson would be the best. Like we should have just re-signed Jalen Brunson, but apparently wanted to go to the Knicks. So, anyways, that's my Christmas wish. I want some help for Luka Doncic, and I want Jason Kidd to start being a coach. He sucks.
He got ejected, right? The other day.
He got ejected, and Luka got ejected.
Yeah, okay.
So it can be NBL even.
Yeah, no, there's no real basketball wishes to be. I just want like a year where superstars don't get injured, and that's a very big wish. But like, I'm loving that there's small market teams thereabouts. Like, for me, of all years, with teams I thought were tanking, like Orlando Magic. All of a sudden, like Pitts, and we're like, yeah, okay, they're definitely tanking, and now they've won 6 in a row.
Like,
who could be a most improved player? But OKC, like all of a sudden, like get a weird game. Minnesota were bums, and then
they beat the Mavs today or yesterday, whatever it is.
Karl Anthony Towns gets injured, and they're like, yeah, we can't play 2 guys this over 7 foot. Like, what a surprise!
Yeah.
But now they've won like 4 or 5, and they're like back into it. So. I actually it's more intriguing season. There's not like everyone's just gone off. There's one team that's going nuts, and then So I just want those guys to stay healthy because you just don't want like a Zion or like Brandon, like these guys at like small market, and then all of a sudden they're done.
Yes. All right. That's
injury free. Except Doncic, he can get hurt.
That's no. I was going to. I wanted to ask you something else about the NBA, but I've forgotten. So let's go to important. Yeah, it wasn't important. Let's go to some NBL stuff. Now, I got a message on Twitter from a pal named Jackson, and
loyal listener.
It was and he's basketball journo, and he messaged me back in November 10, and he said, next pod maybe you can ask Greg about such and such. And I said...
November, and you're bringing up now.
I said, that's brilliant. Thanks, I definitely will. And I didn't. I completely forgot because...
You're an asshole.
No, I just...
if he leaves a Google review, that's it. Like, you know on Facebook where it says your feedback rates, ours would be 40%.
I tell you what, if there's a Google review page for the BackChat Basketball Show, I'm very interested. Okay, so he sent through a picture of an A4 piece of paper, which was like the media notes that they get given when you're on the media bench. I think it was probably when they were here in Perth.
Yes.
And it has like a list of all the players. So David Boone, it says like Melbourne United's longest tenured player. It's a little bit about each sort of player. Okay. And then it goes to number 43, Chris Goulding.
Yep.
It says guard, then in brackets, Goulding, not Goold. Goulding.
Yeah.
You call him Goulding constantly.
No, I say Goulding.
You say Goulding?
Yeah.
I reckon we go back and look at the tape, and I'm pretty sure you said Goulding. No. Now play the montage of you going Goulding. Now, Chris Goulding.
Yeah.
He's been named Melbourne United's captain once again. Yep. One of the league's best shooters ever, blah, blah, blah. It also says, please also avoid nickname bubbles.
Yes, okay.
And Jackson said, can you ask Greg about the nickname Bubbles? Because I'm pretty sure, and I do remember the same, Trev would exclusively call him Bubbles, even
did he?
in like media, presses.
Yeah, okay. Which is funny because and do you know the true story?
I don't know why it's called Bubbles,
okay,
and you're
so
about
I'm going
to
to go and then maybe we can try and find it out and I'll ask around. Trev as well, and I feel really embarrassed if I've been saying Goulding instead of Golding.
You have been.
Have you been?
Yeah, I've been noting it.
So Golding, Trev used to always he butchers everyone's names. Like he'd even be in like Scout. He'd like blatantly say someone. And,
Gary Hire.
Yeah, and you're like Gervin, and you're like Gary Irvin, like what? And then so he would like butcher it, and then he'd be like Golding, and then like one time he like got mad at us because we said like. Golding. Like,
you corrected him.
No. We said Golding. He's like, it's Golding. Like, and we're like right. What? Like, anyway. So now I feel bad if I've been saying that. Maybe over time. I'm pretty sure the nickname Bubbles comes from Michael Jackson's pet monkey.
Right.
Bubbles. if that's true, and when he was a young kid, he had short hair, and I think like his ears, and they like maybe his very first club, they called him Bubbles because he looked like a monkey. I'm pretty sure, like Michael Jackson, and that's how it started. And obviously, like that's
I would love it if that's completely not true.
I think it's some. Well, why would you be offended to be called that?
I don't know. Maybe he like farts a lot or something.
That's even worse.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a bad reason.
Okay,
to
I'm
be
looking
called.
up Michael Jackson's pet chimpanzee.
No, I know
Bubbles. It's that.
Yeah, I know Michael
So
Jackson.
they reckon he looked like him.
Oh, so you've just looked it up on the internet and it does say Chris Golding's.
No. Is that's Michael? I wouldn't know
I
about
know
Michael Jackson.
I know Michael Jackson's
So I
pet
wouldn't make
monkey
that up.
was
So
called.
then it's true.
Okay. Yes, Michael Jackson's pet monkey is Bubbles, but I don't know if they're related. So
no, I didn't say Chris Golding is related to
Michael
Jackson
related.
or the
names
monkey.
are related.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. Well, then that's your answer, perhaps, or
there you go.
Or Greg Hayes has given some sort of absolute falsehood.
No. As we're going.
Okay.
So thank you, Jackson. But it says I've got an article that says NBL's the best nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
And as I progress down, there is
just Control F.
No. Chris CG43 Golding, aka Bubbles. These days, Golding much prefers CG43, but to many around the league, he'll always be Bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, I had the big ears and looked like a monkey. Michael Jackson's monkey at the time was called Bubbles, so that's how it stuck. I'm quite happy to pass that name off forever, to be honest.
Okay.
Golding, July 2015.
Great. All right. So
there you go.
You were right. Well done.
You.
Sorry for doubting you. The Perth Wildcats and Cairns Taipans had a bit of spice at the end of the game. How many games is that on the trot now for the Wildcats? 5. So yeah, not bad. The only thing I saw about it was some people from the crowd telling really to get effed and you know whatever. They were very upset. There was some booing. What happened there? Do you know anything about?
I was intrigued. Usually that's the benefit of if a game goes not overtime, like in terms of they've got a little bit of time, they'll interview
goes over
player.
Time.
Yeah. When they'll just cut off and you don't have any of the footage. But I always like to see. It's always my most intriguing thing to see how people like shake hands or whatnot.
Hate the shake hands, but yeah.
Yeah, correct. But then it's always like a really fun, interesting human dynamic where like, say there's two guys that are boys or like even maybe they're not boys, but they dab each other up and they're like, hey man, like this is really cool. And then like the next guy behind him, they actually don't really know, or it's like a DP and they literally just shake their hand or like don't even really give it much. I'm like, you'd be really upset as a 21-year-old kid. Like if Bryce Cotton gave someone out, like gives Keanu Pinkett a real big hug, and then the next time you just give like a high five or like a finger. Anyway, with that, to just go off a little bit off stream as I do. From my understanding, because I was trying to look at this, it obviously looked like Tajir McCall. Definitely would have butchered his name. Is it Tajir McCall? Whatever. Anyway, let's go from Cairns. Was pretty vocal to Corey Webster. Now I've messaged the guys to find out what had happened. They're obviously on the flight back, so no one got back to me. But from my understanding, Corey Webster may have said in more colourful language, "You're not that guy."
Good.
And so, obviously, that's spicy. They've been pantsed by Wildcats twice now on their home court. So, they've been not only like comprehensively beaten, like that just shows like where they're at. I think, and we'll obviously talk about each club. For me, that just shows like, right now Wildcats have their number. I can't remember the last time they've actually lost there, and they're getting like embarrassed on their home court. So it will lead to a bit more spice. Hopefully, when they come back here, like it'll make for a really blockbuster encounter.
Great. Well, we are going to. It is more than halfway through the season. So we've played about 16 games, and there's about 24, I think, in a season, or 28. I don't know. You played. I didn't. So there's 28. So we are more than halfway through, but it is the last episode for the year. So we thought we'd just give them a little bit of a grading, bit of a recap for each team like so far. So midterm grading. And now if you're a bit like me and you haven't really been watching the NBL religiously every game.
I was like, what are you going to add here? Like, wow. You got a basketball.
But you don't really. So, exactly. I should be watching more. But this will sort of keep you up to date for what's happened so far this season, and then moving forward, you can commit to watching more games with a little bit more knowledge of how the season's gone so far. What we'll do is I'm just going to bring up the NBL ladder, and we'll start from the bottom. So let's go to and we're just going to rapid fire through these. We won't spend 20 minutes on the Illawarra Hawks unless you'd like to.
No.
Nope.
Well, Brisbane are last, and they're straight at F.
They're
Illawarra
Hawks.
Yeah, well then I'd say they're an F as well.
Yes. Okay. So let's start with the Illawarra Hawks. They've won 2 games and lost 14. How many teams are there? 9, right?
Yeah.
So it's 9th on the ladder.
Yeah, I think they won their first game against maybe New Zealand, and then they lost a bunch till they just beat Melbourne. But look, when I was writing this, I actually thought D-, because I was like, they're second last. But now hearing that they're last, it's a definite F for me. I think when you look at positives, and it's funny because a lot of people criticise Sam Froling, and I go, a little bit of inconsistency, but he's still 22 years old.
And he's what position would he?
Oh, he's a 4-5. I think he has to, like, no doubt in say 2-3 years, and with what this organisation needs to grow into, he has to be the backbone of that club.
Yeah, because they say that like centres or like bigs sort of hit their prime around 27, 28. Like they're not like guards and stuff that can be amazing. His touch
is inconsistent. Like he has no right hand. Like he's allergic to his right. And like look at his post moves. Like I never think like he'll ever be a shooter. Like I think he'll always be like that 25% 3-point shooter. But he's got good touch defensively. He's really good. Yep. Good feel. But I think from there's a lot of, because sort of like Luke Travers, like they come in the league and because you're in there for so long, it's like, oh, you should be a bona fide superstar if you have that. And he's had like some big games. Well, I think he had a 35 or a 33 only a few weeks ago. So that's the positive. I think Sam's Froling's like his emergence, and then Michael Frazier, like bit of a redemption story. Yeah. That's nice.
Didn't really get. Well, the Wildcats really didn't get much from him.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, absolutely. So I think for anyone to come back here, backs against the wall, he's obviously been a bit of a spark plug once he's come in. The negatives, like, again, 2-14, crowd attendance extremely low. Yeah. You just see that with the impact that Gorgon's had, and they just couldn't replace that. How do they do that? And then you go, what's their future look like? Like, is there any youngsters that they can build around? Yep, Sam Froling and Daniel Greeter, but there's no one that I look at that. Their imports, inconsistent play. Payne Seaver is not an import that's getting it done. Tyler Harvey, bar his very first year, has been... I would say sackable, like in that play, because it's Illawarra. It's a market that, in contrast, like you can't dip like that. Those fans jump off hard. Like they're a passionate bunch, and once they go, like they jump off hard. So I'd give a big F there.
Big F. Okay, so let's move to the Brisbane Bullets.
That's a Z.
They're 4-11. That's a Z. He says. Obviously they got their big import throughout in the off season. Well, not import, sorry, big signing. and in Aaron Baines hasn't really worked out because they were meant to be a contender.
I actually had them as a sneaky, smoky championship contender. Like I remember speaking to people and they were asking me, who's your top 4? And I was like, Brisbane. Like I thought James Duncan's a good coach, or like a young coach, but had some room. I thought Aaron Baines would be a lot more dominant than he actually is. And then I thought, healthy Sobey, and then you got like leadership presence and Kadee. Like they had the recipe for good success, and that would be your positives is going, if anything, and obviously there's a lot of doubt, can Aaron Baines go back to just any part of resemblance of what he was at the Olympics in terms of a dominant figure and Sobey? Like they've got those two guys, the only guys under contract. So you build around them. Now, if they don't respond, you're struggling. And another positive is the play of DJ Mitchell and Tanner Kress before they got hurt. Like they're two swingmen that I think will be highly sought after free agents after this year. The negatives is just the front office and the disaster of what they're in. Like potentially four coaches by the end of the season. Like currently, you're halfway through the mark. You'd always look at teams that, like, say back end of a season, maybe they started playing well, and like if you were a playoff team, like you could lose a game or two because you didn't have the right mindset. Here's a team trying to wreck someone's season. I would be licking my lips if I was playing Brisbane because they come first 2 minutes, they're done. Like against Adelaide, I was like, this isn't even entertaining basketball. Like this isn't borderline enjoyable. And so talking from a mindset, like absolutely, you're hearing so many things coming out now. Like the players were potentially not going to play against Cairns because of what they were going through. Now that's obviously rumours and innuendo. But even for that to come out, like
when there's smoke, there's fire. Usually with that sort of stuff. So
I just look at that and go, an absolute shit show, and that's putting it lightly.
So Melbourne United. If I think about Melbourne United without looking at their record, probably before today, I would have thought, they're absolutely struggling. With their 8 and 11, put that into some sort of context. Breakers, who are on top of the ladder, are 11 and 5, so they're only 3 wins behind.
Correct.
Top
and that's what you look at. You look at losses. I think what hurts them now is that they've got a pretty tough stretch. Like they're away from home because the Australian Open is coming up, so they've a huge home record at the start, which they really struggled with, which could be a good thing. Like it galvanises the group, and that's why I gave them a D+. For a team that really struggled. There is they've made a little bit of changes, obviously replacing imports, but that's where I go. Well, what else can happen? Rajon Tucker's playing like at an elite level now, like superb basketball for the time being. Shea Ili is a vital piece. That's the positives, right? I look at how big that is, but then the negatives is like there is not much growth. And they've that loss to Wildcats could actually be the reason why they don't make that playing game.
That's right.
It literally is points where at the end of the season they could be 3 or 4 teams tied on the same record, and they'll be looking at that moment going, we
box out the free throw shooter.
Right, absolutely. And they do have, it's a weird old team where they've got I think their roster makeup isn't right because they've got too many, I don't think studs, but too many personalities which are like sort of, they can win you a game, but then they can go completely missing.
Not enough role guys, you reckon?
Right. Yeah. And Shea Ili is the vital piece, but like XRM, Rajon Tucker and Golding are all guys that could go off, but then
and they all want the ball at the same time.
But then they get disrupted. So I'd say a D+, but then what a story. Isaac Humphries and him, in terms of his vulnerability and his honesty.
Off the court stuff, great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's go to next. We have Adelaide, I believe. Yes. Is that right? Yes.
So I'm going to put this up here, and this is going to be...
they're 8 and 8.
Okay.
So they've played... so Melbourne have played a lot of games.
Yeah.
Because of that, because of the Australian Open thing.
Correct.
So they've played 19 games, and then we go to Adelaide, who are 8 and 8, played 16 games.
So I put them as a C+, but I will say on record, and I will say some outlandish claims.
On record, here we go.
On record. I actually think Adelaide and Perth will play off for the championship this year. Which is very weird because Wildcats are going.
You think
crazy.
It'll be a Wildcats Adelaide grand final?
Yeah, the way that they're going. Because I still think the Perth will make a change.
You think?
I think they'll make a change. I don't know what that change may be.
We'll get to Perth.
But Adelaide, I think Ian Clark.
Yep.
like what a vet presence like, and that's what they've been missing.
Yep.
They spoke about what Craig Randall was doing about in terms of yes, his competitive edge, but his role and not fitting into the group. Like Ian Clark slotted nicely into Sydney, and that's what you saw when, this is really bad of me. Who won the MVP last year? Jalen Adams last year gets hurt in the grand final series. It's like, who cares? I've got Ian Clark. Like,
exactly.
And he ends up, he could have been the MVP, to be completely honest. So I think that's what they've lacked. Like, as much as money-making Mitch McCarron is like, a superstar. Like talk about nicknames. I just read it before, but I think that's what they need is a vet presence. When things combust, like it's very easy. They just, like as much as I see McCarron as being like their leader and their captain, I don't see him as this, like he goes insular, like when things are struggling.
Right.
And so Ian Clark's a perfect guy, an NBA guy that has been in one of the best organisations, can actually rally those troops. And I think that's exactly what a young coach and CJ Bruton needs, is that presence on the court. So hence why I've given them a C+, because, they're, 50-50 right now, and I think their signs are pretty positive.
Let's go to the Tassie Jack Jumpers, last year's grand finalists. Obviously, they got swept, didn't they, against the Kings. They're sitting at 500 as well, 8-8.
Yep.
Percentage... 100. So we're getting into the hundreds now. Every other team up below them was below 100 in the percentage, and that will come into play, especially with such a tight competition, that these percentage points will actually matter. So when the clock's running down at the end and you think not to shoot,
correct,
get that extra points up. Jack Jumpers, how have you seen their season so
B+.
far?
I think just like pretty much everyone in Australia thought they weren't going to be able to
back it up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's hurt them is a lot of injuries. Like with that, obviously bringing back Magnay, who they didn't have last year, but then Stein will come in, Matt Kenyon and Sam McDaniel, who I think are vital pieces for that. Like people might go, they're just two role players, but the system that they run, they're integral parts of that. I think we're sort of starting to see that. I think like Milton Doyle started, Josh Magette, like you need more from him. And then Rashad Kelly has sort of, again, like really dipped. I loved what he brought, but I think for a guy that is a hustle and grind sort of guy, like against, I think Sydney or whoever they lost to on the weekend, maybe, I'm not sure, but it was like he was like 3 from 12, 3 from 13. Like he's not a guy that they throw the ball to, but he's got to be efficient. So, again, I go B+ because, again, like, I thought I didn't think they were going to be a flash in the pan. What an incredible story, Cinderella story, and they start off on 3, and again, you're like, this is going to happen again. But I think they just consistently prove that they're going to grit and grind, and I love that mentality from them.
And shouts to Jacob Chance, our friend of the family here at BackChat Basketball
Best
Show.
interview you've had on, not like better than Nerily Meadows, better than
in the whole BackChat network. Right, sure. Okay, now we're in.
Not sure why it's not pinned, but no worries.
4, 5. I'm counting down because I don't know where we are. The 5th place, Perth Wildcats. They are currently in the play-in tournament, which probably 3 weeks ago you probably thought.
Play-in tournament's the 6th though now.
Yeah,
so it doesn't count.
Basically, everyone's in the tournament.
Exactly, it's a joke.
Yeah,
I give them a C.
A C.
Yeah, because again, it's like they should be top 4. Like just because Tassie, like,
I just thought that was generous. The C.
Really? Why? Talk to me.
Well, they are.
What are they? 9 and 8.
They probably should be 8 and 8 against Melbourne. They got very lucky. Well, they were not very lucky.
They wouldn't be 8 and 8. That'd be. If they lost to Melbourne, it would be 8 and 9.
Oh, Greg, no, that's not true.
What do you mean? You said they're 9 and 8.
They're 9 and 7.
Okay. You said 9 and 8.
Did I?
Loop it back. Yeah, okay.
Beck's producing yesterday. What did I say? I said 8 and 9, so wouldn't. Where I am. Neither. But no one's listening. So they're 9 and 7. They're C, and I think everyone expected them to storm to the top again, but they've always had some issues. And you think maybe the team's not the team that's going to be in the final series?
I still think like momentum's an incredible thing, and so like they're riding this at the moment. and we'll speak about the next team, I think, who, like that win against them, like I still think Wildcats have like veteran players. Mm-hmm. And so you're starting to see that, like last night's game against Cairns.
Yep.
Rebounding, huge. Like
finally won a rebound.
Second time
contest.
they've won all year, and surprisingly they win by 20.
Yep.
And deflections and their defensive intensity. What a surprise! They, that helps them offensively.
Wildcats basketball.
Yeah, correct. And so what that does, and we can loop back what I've said for the last couple of weeks, is making Mitch Norton feel good. And so like his activity on the defensive end, what happens? He gets a corner three without hesitation, hits it, and he puts the three goggles up on his head because he's finally enjoying himself. He's finally happy. Like he's finally in a position to play good defensively and have an impact in the game. What does defensive intensity do? Like gets guys scrambling on the floor, dive loose balls. Jesse Wagstaff continuously getting charges.
Yep.
And so what
the team gets up and about.
Right. And then, with that, now both times, Michael Harris, mate, I think he's fearless and he could be a bit of an X factor. But they're starting to get a little bit of role clarity. And this is, it'll be interesting the way Todd Blanchfield's sort of role plays, because I don't know where it is now. Like if Michael Harris is shooting the ball that well and has a little bit of that fearlessness in him, interesting how Todd gets back into rotation. But again, I still think you still need consistent play, but they're so deep. Like at the end of the day, Thomas, we've been waiting on, has had some big weeks. Manic had his moments and then has no rebounds. Like I don't think you can have that from your big. Webster, too massive. Then I think he had a donut last night. But again, that's this thing. Like they've got this, and
they've got the weapons.
If they continue winning, like we keep talking about Mitch Creek, Xavier Cooks, and Keanu Pinder as MVPs. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Wildcats aren't too far off. Like losses on all those teams. Like
so they're two losses or 2 wins behind top spot.
Correct. Yep. If they continue winning,
and they should have beaten Brisbane. They just had
absolutely. I went to that training session, and the way that they were training, I was like, they've got to get to the lowest point to then come back because they were struggling. So it was no surprise there. But Bryce should be in that MVP talk. Like he's leading the league in scoring again, or maybe Mitch Creek would have because he had 46 on the weekend.
Yep, he's up. He's second at least.
But we just go greatness. Yeah, it's similar to what Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's now
just bored of his good play.
He had 46, 28 and 12, and they're like, oh, he's maybe should be an MVP again.
Yeah. All right, let's. We've got 4 left in about 8 minutes, so let's smash through these. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, who are doing some odd things, to be honest, in the media department. There was that that media release that was sent out last week, and then
eggs on your faces.
Yeah, and
why?
then I sent it to you guys. There was a graphic that they put up of Mitch Creek's play, and one of the stats they used was fouls on. So it had however many points, 9 rebounds, and 12 fouls on. Like, what are you guys doing over there? That's never been a stat that you celebrate. Is that ever been a thing that comes up in post-game meetings? Like, oh, Greg, you drew 9 fouls tonight.
Nah.
No.
Did they?
There's never a stat, but for some reason they thought they wanted to add that in there because it was 12.
I did have to laugh when they literally had a press release talking, defending himself, and then they
y'all doubted us.
Eggs.
Yeah, exactly. So Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, what grade? You've given them a nice little B.
I gave them a B. I think this is going to hurt this next 2-week spell, considering longer. Gary Brown's hurt, Ryan Brokoff hurt, Joe Cheese gone home.
Yep.
So how well, they beat Sydney, but again, it's they have these weeks where they beat Perth here resoundingly well. They go on a tear and then they get pantsed by Melbourne.
Yeah.
And then they beat Sydney and you're like, geez. But I think that how well they do is Gary Brown. Like when his play has been efficient, you can't rely on Cardinum. And as much as I love Owen Foxwell in that story, he's not leading you to a championship.
No.
I used to joke around with this, and this seems disrespectful in a way. It's early in Cardinum's career when he was playing well for Melbourne and in Melbourne, I was like, if he plays well, they're not winning games.
Right.
He's awesome as a spark plug role guy.
Yep.
But if he's your vital piece it means your team's not meshing. And so I think that reliance, they've got to have him as just that pinch hitter. Not saying that's what they're happening currently right now, but if you're relying on Owen Foxwell to fix this up, that's not going to win it when you have 5-game series.
I will also just add in there that this is on Reddit. Southeast Melbourne have played 10 versus the bottom 4. Which is interesting. So I don't know how many of those they've won, but they've played the most games out of like that top little echelon about against the bottom 4. And Sydney Kings, who we'll get to. We'll get to the Sydney Kings in a sec. Let's go to Cairns Taipans real quick. We'll smash through this one.
B minus.
B minus.
B minus. I still think that a lot of fluff. And 40 will be. He'll watch this, so he'll use it as ammunition. But no, look, again, I think this is the thing. If they're at this point, like they've had big wins, but like they've come back down, I just think the loss of Sam Vandenberg, I'm butchering everyone's name now, but yeah, like a guy like him is huge, and that like depth, they're going to struggle. But I think, again, like they need consistent play. Like Mikhail, whatever they do with that, like he needs to be, again, like, what that looks like. I just think I reckon they'll slide to that 5th and 6th. They're good enough, they're talented enough. They've got a pretty passionate fan base to get them a few wins, but I don't see them as being that upper echelon, hence why they've lost to Perth twice.
And they're 10 and 6. So they've played only 16 games, and the top 3 have only played 16 games.
10 and 6 is solid.
10 and 6, very solid.
Hence why B minus.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll go to the Sydney Kings. Don't know why I said that with that accent. They're 11 and 5, so only one win ahead of the Cairns Taipans, and they are guaranteed final spot at the moment. Sydney Kings, the reigning champions. Let's see what you gave them. A minus.
Yeah.
Okay. How would it? Okay. No, I'm not even going to get into it because it will take up too much time. A minus. How have you seen them?
I mean, again, there's a lot of. That's a roster that I'm like, if they make a roster change, they're like a bona fide champion, like mark it down. They still, I mean, DJ Vasilovic has still got to, I think he's got to elevate his play. He's got to pick that moment to do that. But I look at like Tim Cyrus and then Jarrell Martin, and I'm like chalk and cheese. Like you bring in Jarrell Martin, like in that lineup, like they're paying $1.01. I said that, like, and that's what, he's great. But I think, like, hopefully, I don't think Xavier Cook's ankle injury is going to be as bad as missing. But, just to have that next scorer, like that's what, like Xavier Cook's, like he's playing at an incredible level. But like Jalen Adams, like that's what they were able to provide. Like, is that they need another scorer that they can rely on, like what they had of Jarrell, what they had of Ian Clark, when DJ and all that's still going around. So A minus, just because I think Chase Buford needs a haircut as well.
He does some funny stuff as well. He seems like a bit of a hothead. Last one, the top team at the moment, only by percentage and a healthy percentage as well. 11 and 5, the New Zealand Breakers. Good, just happy for him as well, because especially after the last couple of years, everything they've had to endure.
Because I know you were going to critique, like, what's an A minus? I'll give him an A plus.
Okay, sure.
I had an A, but then I was just like, what a good story. You could say down to an A just because their social media team
cooked it.
Yeah, had a brain fart. But, mate, 2 years away from not playing in New Zealand. To be completely honest, I would have loved for the team to give him an extra home game as much as they never would have, because it would have cost them a lot of money. But what a story, like rookie coach. It seemed like they loved playing amongst him, for him. New Zealand's back there. Like, I love that roster. And I think, as they get there, and like, their schedule hasn't been kind to them. Like, they've got to travel on Christmas Day. Like,
it's brutal
to play a game. Like, you would have thought of all teams to like stay at home and enjoy yourself, but they just get it done. I mean, I remember there was a pretty good story where I think they may have travelled ridiculous like flights. They were on the tarmac for 4 hours, got in at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and then got a massive win. And you're just like, that's just what their mentality is, and they've got no excuses. So, I think for that roster and what they do for the league, it's sensational to see a team like that.
There you go, the top teams. That's a little recap of the NBL season so far, and we're going to wrap this up ourselves. It's been a good 2022.
It has. What's your highlight been of the NBL season?
That finish. The Perth Wildcats, Melbourne United finish was the craziest thing I've ever seen in a live basketball game. So that was great. What about you? You got 10 seconds.
I think just being able to have the ability to share the nickname Bubbles, and you thought I was a liar, and I was able to prove my facts. So thank you.
There we go. All right. Well, thanks to Kerrod Sharpe, who usually produces the program. He's Kerrod.
No, he's dead to us.
No, he's not. He's on well-earned Christmas break. Ben Mallis is also usually here. Yourself, Greg. Hi. Rebecca, my wife, is producing the program today, so thanks to her. hello@backchatpodcast.com.au is where you can email us.
Jackson.
Or at
Jackson McDonald.
Right, Jackson, yeah. At BackChat_basketball on Instagram. If you want to send us some messages or wherever there, it'll be good to get in contact with us. We'll have a little break and we'll be back the first Wednesday of January, if that's okay with you. Basketball doesn't really stop over that time, so there'll be plenty to talk
I'll be
about.
going down south, so at one point, but
otherwise, well, as long as you're back. As long as you're back. Ben will be. He did say that. So, all right, we'll catch you in the new year.
You got to go pick up an item.
Yep.